друзі, ви на каналі Як там? З вами Лана
і Ліда.
І сьогодні з нами є дуже поважний гість, його звати Майк.
Добрий день.
Майк є ріелтор в Торонто, тому сьогодні будемо розмовляти про те, як орендувати нерухомість, житло в Торонто чи в Онтаріо. Це такий наш трошки новий формат відео, тому що Майк тільки починає вчити українську мову, і він спілкується англійською, тому інтерв'ю ми будемо брати в нього англійською мовою і залишимо для вас субтитри внизу українські. А якщо ви профі з англійською, то, будь ласка, слухайте і насолоджуйтеся.
Навіть якщо ви не профі, то вам буде гарна практика, хто планує здавати IELTS чи CELPIP, то прошу послухайте і подивіться, що ви зрозумієте, а потім подивіться ще раз субтитрами. Полайкайте і підпишіться на канал, якщо ви не підписані, будь ласка. Thank you, Mike, for being here, and let's get things rolling. So, what are the requirements to rent or lease a property?
Before we get started on that, my name is Mike Safay, and I'm a realtor with Forest Hill Signature, currently serving the whole Greater Toronto area and surrounding. So if you need any help with leasing, purchasing, and selling, I'm here to help you out.
The contact information is in the description to this video.
Yes, that will be provided below. You'll see it throughout the video. Now let's get to that question. What are the requirements? There are no set requirements to lease a property in Toronto. However, landlords have certain expectations, and that is the combined family income needs to be 2.5 to 3 times the asking price or lease amount. So for instance, if the lease amount is $3,000, they want to see $7,500 as the combined income net. That's after taxes. At the same time, they want to see credit scores of 700 and more. Now, sometimes, it's possible that you might not have one or both of those situations or conditions. So what you need to do is to bring in a guarantor who has those credentials and who's willing to help you with the lease and provide those documents. And that guarantor has to sign on the offer as well. And also, you can basically provide a few months of rent upfront. Usually it could be 5 or 6 months upfront to sort of like compensate for what you're missing in terms of credit score or combined income. I know that sounds horrible and it's hard in this crazy rental market in Toronto, but that's just how landlords are reacting right now. Some months it's easier, sometimes it's more difficult. Right now we're in almost July and it's just really insane.
Yeah, I just want to tell my personal experience here. When I came to Canada as a newcomer, obviously I didn't have the guarantor, my credit score was just
non-existent.
An A or maybe after a few months 350, whatever. And I did not have a job yet, but I was looking for the place to live. So my first rent in Toronto was a basement, and I was paying cash. So that was the only condition. Very, very bad situation for me because I could not claim my taxes at the end of the year because I was paying cash every month. So obviously my landlord did not show the income to the CRA, good for him, but for me, I had to pay very, very big taxes after my first year in Canada. But it is how it is. It was hard for me, so hopefully it's going to be better for you if you have savings, if you have income, and if you work with a realtor. And here I want to add that if you're hiring a realtor in Canada, any province, any city, you have to pay nothing. So realtors are getting commission from the landlords, not from you. That's why use their services. They are free for you.
So here I wanted to share my personal story as well. My family and I actually paid 6 months in advance. Yeah. We came here and we looked not that good on paper. People did not know us in person. They didn't know that we are going to be paying. And we came with 2 kids, which is even worse because the laws are not on landlord's side. They're on our side. We could have stopped paying at any point and they wouldn't be able to kick us out. So we faced this problem and we had to pay 6 months in advance, and at the time we were paying 2,000 Canadian dollars per month, so we had to pay a lump sum of money. But also, at first, what I didn't understand, I thought we're going to pay 6 months in advance, and we're going to live first six months rent free, and then we're going to start paying
Usually
6 months later. That's
Yes.
not the case. You pay 6 months in advance, you start paying your rent. First month you move in, actually you pay ahead first and last month, and then
First and last 5 months, basically.
and then yes, and then the last 5 months you are not paying. So, but there is no other way out.
That sounds challenging, but it's just the way the market is right now. It's you know, there are a lot of these homes out in the market right now. They're getting multiple offers, even for lease. I know that sounds insane, but I'm dealing with a lot of tenants, and every home we go to and we make an offer, there's another, I don't know, like there's 2 or 3 other offers right beside ours, and it's just more difficult to get it. And in order to compete with the other offers and outbid them, we have to offer a few months up front or bring in guarantors, you know, do a little bit more, something more special to get that lease done.
You know, also here I wanted to ask you to speak more about guarantors, because I was guarantor twice, and I just want to tell you, if person tells you, oh, I'm going to be your guarantor, they might not know what they're getting themselves into, because there are very precise requirements as to guarantor. He or she has to make lots of money, because they take into consideration their rent or lease or whatever, and then they take into consideration cost of your rent. So the guarantor has to be making lots of money.
Yes.
There has to be credit checks. So also you never know whether guarantor will, you know, every time you get credit check with Equifax or TransUnion, your credit score goes down a little bit. I still cannot bring my credit score up to level it used to be because of all of those credit checks.
You were guaranteeing this
I was
person and that person.
all around. I was checking through Equifax, through TransUnion. I had like 4 hard credit checks. So you can imagine.
Of course.
Yes, so that's because, you know, why I'm bringing this up, because some people are saying, oh, I'm going to be your guarantor, it's no problem. But then when the time comes and you tell them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they're like, oh my goodness, no, I probably cannot do it.
Yes.
So before
it's like the guarantor has to provide all these documents, like the credit report, the pay stubs, the employment letter. I mean, if they're self-employed, they have to provide their bank statements or notice of assessment for the previous year. And there's a chance they might not want to do that. So, I mean, before, you shouldn't just say, oh, can you be my guarantor? You have to tell them the whole story and what they need to do, what they need to provide in order to, you know, be able to lease something with their help, right? So, and in terms of income, they need to make probably, it's hard to say, but probably I would say like maybe 3 or 4 times the lease amount, a little bit more than if you were making that amount, and credit score has to be above 700 for sure. So those are some of the requirements that you know, the landlords are looking at right now.
Oh, thank you for that. Yes.
Mike, can you speak a little bit about the steps, how to apply if you like some property, like what documents are required, and
Sure.
about the application?
So the agent is responsible to send you all the properties that are out there in the market. You know, look through the properties, look at the maintenance fees, like utilities, how much it's going to cost. Consider all the costs on a monthly basis, and then once you know how much it is, then call the agent, ask him or her to book those properties for you, go to the showings, show up physically and see the place. I suggest, otherwise, like you can't just like make an offer without seeing the place. A lot of people are doing that, and I'm so against it, because there might be something wrong with the property, and it would be a surprise when you move in and you find out you can't get out of it anymore. It's so hard to get out of that lease because you already signed a 6 months, 1 year lease, whatever the term is. So it's best to go and see the properties in person. Once you select a property, then call the agent or let the agent know that you're interested. The agent will prepare all the paperwork and send it to you directly. So you will sign the agreement, and along with the standard lease agreement, and he'll send it to the listing agent, and they will make the decision. Usually it takes about 24 hours for the decision to come out.
Mm-hmm. And what if I'm self-employed? Like, what kind of documents do I have to provide to show that I make enough income?
Let me start over with that. So you need to provide all your photo IDs. Every occupant has to provide photo IDs. Pay stubs, 3 last month's pay stubs has to be provided. Employment letter for every single working occupant should be provided. Rental application must be filled out and submitted. Don't fill out your bank information, that's not necessary. Everything else has to be filled out. Credit report has to be from Equifax or TransUnion. Don't get it from other companies, it's usually not going to work. They have certain criteria, landlords and listing agents, and those are the two companies that they look at carefully. Right.
Here I wanted to add something about employment letter, because I was just writing one for one of the people working, my colleagues, and they're very particular about that. I never knew. So I thought I was going to be very precise, and I was going to put her like the day when she started, and then she was on probation for 3 months, and then she's working this and this many hours and getting this and this salary. However, you better be friends with your manager, because they don't want to see any word that says probation. So she came back twice to change the letter. Number one, she started working, never put in any probation. I'm not sure why, but the broker was not happy about it.
That's right. It makes them feel like, there's a chance that you might lose your job, or they let you go after 3 or 4 months. So it's best not to put that wording there. It's if you just say like he or she's working from this period and is making this amount of income, that should be enough. Don't
the simpler the better here, right?
The simpler the better.
I thought I was being so precise, like, because she was over her probation. She was not on probation anymore. Right. But still, that word was a trigger for them. They said, no, it shouldn't be there. Forget about it. Don't say, and she works from home once a week. She said, don't put that in. If you can, like, we are not saying to lie, but if it can be omitted, probation, working from home, unstable hours, that also matters, I think, because there was something with her working 1 week more, 1 week less. So better like spread those hours out, even them out, so that is not.
There are some tricks you can do to make your application looks better.
That's why it's important to hire a good realtor who will give you all of these tips.
Yeah, and like samples and tell what to ask for.
That's right. A lot of my clients ask me for samples. I send them. I have samples for employment letter, pay stubs, and I just send it over to them, and they show it to their boss or manager, and they get the right documents using those.
Let's go back to self-employed people.
Yes, self-employed. So if you're self-employed, obviously you don't have pay stubs. So what you need to provide is notice of assessment of the previous year. They might even ask you for the one before that. Definitely notice of assessment, and also bank statements showing the deposits going into your account. I know that's private information. A lot of people don't want to provide their bank statements, but unfortunately, listing agents do ask for it. They don't want to see everything. Usually, they don't want to see all your expenditure, all that stuff. They just want to see deposits coming in. So as long as you show the deposits coming in consistently for the last 3 months, you should be fine. And also business ownership. So if you have business ownership letter or article of incorporation, please do provide that as well.
I see. So if I'm working as a self-employed and I'm making cash, that's not going to work, right? I do have to show that I put in money into my account.
Yes, that's going to be very tough to prove that you're making an income if you're just getting cash. So please do think about that too. I know it's good. It feels good to just get cash and not pay taxes, but it's gonna come after you, bite you, and that's when it does. So be mindful of that, because making cash money is not always in your best interest, especially if you're planning to rent or even buy, because you want to show proof of income.
So say we signed a deal, you're looking for properties for me. Before I go in and physically look at the properties, I want to see them, somewhere online, because some of them I might say, I don't like this right off the bat. I don't want to even see this. I don't want to waste my time. Sure. How do I do that?
Well, I will be sending you listings from the MLS system. It's coming from Treb. So you will get those listings. In the listings, you will see all the information about the property, including the pictures. And if there are no pictures, just contact your realtor and let him or her know, and he or she has to send you the pictures and all the information. And the realtor sometimes have access to exclusive listings, so you might get those as well, which does help in this process. So that's how you get to see all the information about different properties. But then you should definitely go and see the property too.
What is information that is listed? I know from what I remember, number of parking spaces,
Yes.
whether utilities are included or not,
Right.
what kind of, is there air conditioning, if it's central, or what kind of air conditioning?
So air
if it's
conditioning,
not?
central or not, heating system, all kinds of utilities, what utilities are included, what utilities are not included, number of parking spots, which floor is included, which floor are you renting, main floor or basement, or even the entire property. So the address is there, pictures, parking spots, basically all you need to know about the property. But again, it's not enough. You have to go see it. I cannot recommend that enough.
I just wanted to say something. After we were renting our first condo, we thought we were gonna rent a house, like small, and I always forget what they're called, bungalows.
Bungalow house.
And we saw 3 or 4 houses that were in perfect location for us, that were perfect size for our family, and they looked so good while we were looking at pictures. But once we came from outside, they still looked
may
good.
be misleading,
The houses were not clean. Half of the windows were not opening or closing properly. The stoves were in terrible condition. I'm not sure, I wouldn't even try washing them because there was no coming back for those stoves. It was just terrible. And I was there for 5 minutes and I thought I had lice already. I wanted to run. And it was just terrible. So, and it looks so nice. We were so excited. We were almost 100% sure that one of those properties is going to be ours.
I always tell my clients the pictures can be very misleading. So they take the pictures, and we have so many apps out there right now. They do modify them, brighten them up, whatever. They do a lot of all sort of thing. Make it look like you're moving into a paradise, but when you actually go see it, that's not the case. So go see the property.
But again, I know that you can negotiate with the landlord. For example, you didn't like the oven, right? Or the microwave.
Little things, it could be negotiable.
Yeah, they can
I
replace
suggest
it.
not to negotiate before making the offer, or let the offer go through. Because, when you're dealing with the landlord directly, one-to-one, it's just so much easier to discuss things that you don't like and maybe find a common ground. If it's little things, you can definitely deal with just directly with the landlord. If it's big things and there's actually something wrong with the property, so that's you do have to discuss. You have to ask your agent to discuss that prior to making an offer.
I see.
So we actually asked for something. So our first condo, when we came to look at it, we saw that people had a cat. And we know most of condos in Toronto have carpeting in the bedrooms.
Yeah. A lot of them.
And we asked them because 2 out of 4 people have allergies, and we asked them to deep clean the place, because usually when you move into the place, it's broom swept. So you actually have to clean it. And we asked them for professional cleaning, and they said it was okay. They found this company that did this kind of thing, and they came in, they cleaned everything. They, I don't know what they did, steamed carpets or something like that, but it was so fresh and so nice. It was perfect. So that was the only requirement we had. But you can negotiate. It shows you that
Absolutely.
you can.
You can negotiate on definitely cleaning it has to be. I always put that on my offers, right? Cleaning has to be done. Professional cleaning has to be done prior to tenants moving in. I think every agent has to put that on the lease. It's just by law something that needs to be done. Unless it's already done and it's just fresh in the market, then it should be fine. But otherwise, ask them to definitely clean the property for you. Sometimes the cleaning companies are not so great. You can maybe make recommendations as what companies they can go with to clean your place. If you know any, that would definitely be helpful. Yeah.
I made a big mistake when we were moving into our second condo. I looked at everything and everything looked so good, and I never opened the fridge. I don't know how that happened. It was late at night. I was very tired. big mistake on my part, huge mistake. Fridge was gross with like blood from meat, and it was just it
maybe
took
not
half a day. Maybe not meat, maybe like I don't know, but yeah, it took.
It's hard to say now.
Yes, no one will know. It's been 3 years at that place, so our fingerprints
I'm glad you got past that.
So, but it took me half a day to clean it, and I cleaned it with everything I could, with chemicals, then with grandma's recipes, with
baking soda, Lysol, Clorox.
I don't know what
All kinds
happened
of
to
chemicals.
me, like because there was, in general, place was so nice, and so there was so much light and big windows and everything, and somehow it just slipped my mind. I never thought about it. So be precise. Make a list. If you're tired, make a list to try and flush toilets if they work. Try opening all of the like faucets. Open the fridge, definitely. If there is
that's something I wanted to talk to you about as well. So when the closing comes, and first of all, usually the agent has to go with you, the cooperating agent, and the listing agent is supposed to be there, but sometimes they're not. But it's best if both agents are present, so you can actually have as a cooperating agent, you would have to look around in the house, check the water pressure, check the fridge, check how it's clean, check the water, the bulbs, right, to make sure everything is working, right? And if there are any deficiencies, please let your agent know, and let the landlord know, and take pictures. If there are any scratches on the floor, on the walls, take pictures of them, because later, I don't want you to get blamed because it's not something you've done. Maybe the previous tenant has done it. So things like that you have to be careful about. And also appliances. So usually when I'm doing the offer, I do put down, if appliances are not working within a week or so, like, let the landlord know, and he or she has to quickly fix it, right? But I always put that down in my agreements that, tenants have 1 week to let the landlord know if there's something not working.
I have a question here. Let's say I paid the deposit already, right?
Yeah.
And then I found the better property, or something is not just working for me, so I've changed my mind. Can I pull out of the deal and save my money, get my deposit
That's actually
back?
a very good question, and it has happened to me a few times that the tenant has made the deposit, the first and last month's deposit, and the way the deposit is paid is by them taking a bank draft and dropping it off at the brokerage, or depositing it directly into the listing brokerage's account. So if that's done, it's going to be tough now, right? Because if you want to pull out of the deal, you might lose your deposit, maybe the whole amount, maybe partial, unless both parties, the tenants and the landlords, agree to sign a mutual release agreement, and some do, some don't. So it's a risky move here. It has happened that the landlord understood the situation, and the mutual release form was signed, and the tenant got his or her money back. But if you haven't paid that money yet, the deposit, and after the offer is accepted, you can pull out of the deal, no problem. Just call the listing agent and say, like, there's an issue, or you're not interested anymore and you want to pull out a deal. They might get upset, but there's nothing legally that would be against you.
Oh, okay.
So usually we sign lease for 1 year. And
Usually, yes.
Here, some people ask me actually, because what do? Do they have to move after a year? Do they not move? Do they sign another lease?
There
What happens?
are two situations. That the lease can turn into a month-to-month tenancy situation, so you will just be paying every month, right? Or you can sign an agreement for another 6 months or another year. So in which case you might need to provide them with post-dated checks, or they might be okay with e-transfer as well. But both scenarios can happen. It's really up to you. Usually it's going to be month to month after the first year.
Another question. So we pay first month rent and last month rent.
Yes.
So at the end of the lease, I decide to continue living at the property, but
Right.
the last month lease, do I use it?
No. So you're not going to get the last month's lease.
Okay.
You will get it, or it will be applied to the very last month of use.
Whenever, like in 3
Whenever,
years,
it could be in 4 years, it could be in 5 years.
Okay.
It would be applied to that last month that you're a tenant in that property.
I have another question. If I want to terminate my lease agreement before 1 year, can I do that? And what are the consequences?
Technically, you cannot, but it's possible sometimes that the landlord lets you sublet the property, or just let you go, right? Depends how, like, of the kind of relationship. It depends on how nice the landlord is, the relationship that you have with your landlord. Like, it all depends on that. It's possible for him to just like let you go to end the tenancy. You know, he or she or you can send the form N11 or N12 or something like that, or he would probably do that. He will send you, or she will send you N11 or N12 form, and you have to just fill it out, and it will end the tenancy.
Okay.
Or you can, you know, you can let the landlord know that you will find another tenant with good, you know, credentials, you know, good credit and income to sublet the property. That, but you have to make sure that the landlord is okay with all his or her credentials in order to be able to sublet the property. Usually, that, you know, the landlord wouldn't agree, but it's possible. I've seen it happening before. Yeah. So.
Another question. So say we don't have lease anymore, right? It's our third, fifth, fourth, whatever year living there, and we want to move. What is the process?
So you do have to give the landlord 60 days notice, and by law, and it can't, I mean, unless the landlord agrees that you can go earlier, but by law, it's 60 days. 60 days for you to let the landlord know that you're leaving, or if the landlord wants you to leave for specific reasons, also it's going to be 60 days. And what do I mean by specific reasons? If the landlord wants the property for you know, personal use, like if he or she is going to live there, or like his son or her daughter wants to take over the property, then that's a valid excuse to want the property back. Or if the landlord wants to sell the property. So those are the two scenarios where you know, the landlord can ask you to leave. Otherwise, if you don't want to leave, you can say no.
Okay.
Yes.
I just also remembered when I was renting the place, I had to pay the key deposit, right?
Yes.
How much is that? I guess I paid like $300.
The key deposit varies. It could be anywhere from $200. I have seen it up to $500. I think that $500 is a ridiculous amount. I know that.
We paid $200.
And people like ask me like, are the keys made of gold or something? I say no, but it's just what they want, and it's just, it doesn't make sense. I get it.
But to be fair, one door
fob,
that clicker, one fob,
yeah, if you're talking about garage,
up to $150. So if you have two fobs, it's already $300 right there.
Yes.
And then
garage
the
opener.
key also. If you want to make copies of a key to a condo, you cannot just go to Home Depot and do it. You cannot go to Lowe's and do it.
Yeah.
You have to go through your management, and one key is also quite expensive. Like it can range from like $17 to $30, I think, because we had a key made, like an extra key made.
So it does add up. Normally, I would say $300 is what I've seen the most.
So there's key deposit. What other deposits are there? I think there's nothing else.
Anything else there that we have to know
so
about?
there's the key deposit. You do have to get tenants insurance, mandatory for every lease. I mean, okay, so if you look it up online, it says that it's not mandatory, but all landlords do require it, and it's just you have to get it done, right? There's no way around it. You do need tenants insurance, primarily because it will protect you and your furniture, your appliance, your basically your stuff from any damages or anything that can happen to it. If there's a leak in the building, it damages all your furniture. Like, you know, you want to get money back from that, right? So you do need tenants insurance. It also protects the landlord from certain things. So it's good to have tenants insurance. You have to have tenants insurance. Let's put it that way. Other than that, like they would ask you for post-dated checks, right? So post-dated checks are basically personal checks that you can get from the bank. You can order a checkbook from the bank. It will take about 2 weeks to get to you, right? And then you would just write out the amount, and, you know, first of every month, from, you know, the month the second month onwards, you have to pay. They will just take the check, they go to the bank, the landlord, and they will just deposit it into their account. Or it could be e-transfer, but sometimes the landlord don't agree to e-transfer. So it really depends on the landlord.
So it's always nice to be nice to your landlord, to not bother them with small things,
Yes.
because from our personal experience...
Don't
for
be on their
example,
nerves.
Yes, we had blind in one of the rooms. The blinds did not look nice, they were kind of icky and yucky, we didn't like them, and I spoke to landlord and I told them we would like to change them, so we will do the work, we will hang the curtains up, we will buy the curtains, are you okay with paying for curtains? Because curtains are not cheap, and usually they go by the rule that if something costs less than $50, you just pay for it. If something's over $50, has that changed, or is still $50?
It's now.
It's not a written rule. I'm not saying
It's not a set amount.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's mostly $100 because
nothing costs $50. Like
yeah,
a soap, maybe.
it's like dollar store, right? Nothing costs $1 anymore, right? So it's usually now it's $100. I would say. So the first $100 you will pay, and then the rest will be paid by the landlord.
So she met us in the middle. We just threw out old blinds. We bought new curtains that we liked. I took pictures of the curtains and I showed her that we hung them up and how nice they are. So we are supposed to leave those curtains. Usually when you upgrade the curtains or something like that, you don't take them with you. And all of the properties should be, when you move in, should have curtains as well. Is that a rule?
Again,
or not anymore?
It's not a rule per se, but obviously if there are no curtains, then you can ask the landlord to put it for you, and most landlords do it. You know, like these little things, they just do it for you. So don't get so caught out with that. Just you can ask about that before you make the offer if you want. I think that's something that can be done.
Yeah, ask.
It's not a big ask. If it's not a big ask before you make the offer, like I think it should be fine. But if you're asking, can you change the washer and dryer, or change the carpets, or paint all the walls, or they might not do it, and it would definitely affect your offer. So, keep those in mind before making an offer.
We made few small repairs in both washrooms. They were under $100, over $50, but we did not bother her with that because she would have to employ a plumber. Plumber charges a fortune, and I don't want to strain on her. And since my husband can do it himself, we just ordered parts. I think even on Amazon. It came next day, and he fixed it. So if you want to make nice with landlord, if you can do some repairs yourself, but if you can, don't ruin anything, because there are some people that are going to watch videos on YouTube and try to fix something. If you cannot do it, you have landlord, don't be shy. They're there.
Just ask
it's their property, right?
Ask them nicely.
Yeah, ask them
they
nicely.
Might do it.
Exactly. Okay, I guess.
Do you have any other questions for me?
We don't, but if you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments below.
Yes.
We will also provide Mike's email and phone number, so you can contact him directly. He's pretty responsive, right?
Absolutely.
If you like the video, give us thumbs up.
Even if you don't like the video, but
give us thumbs down.
Yes, you can give us thumbs down. It's okay. Any activity is a good activity, so.
Leave us some comments. We'll see. If you like it, we maybe invite Mike to tell us a little bit more about purchasing the property.
Yeah, we will definitely, stay tuned. We will be back. I'll be talking about buying a property here in Ontario and also selling one. So we're going to have definitely future videos very soon. If you have any questions, just let us know, and I'll try to get your questions answered as soon as possible.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Thank you, Mike, for being here.
Oh, my
Thank
pleasure.
you for your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me.
І на цій ноті будемо закінчувати. Тепер ще по-українськи скажемо лайк, підписка, поділитися відео і вчіть англійську мову. Все, до наступних зустрічей.
Bye.
Па-па.
Па-па.